Coombsville is...
Where does one start?
Heaven, I'm in heaven.
It's just a great place to live.
Everyone's very hands-on.
Cute as a button. Winemaker's dream.
Coombsville, to me, still has a little of the rural quality that I found in Napa Valley quite a few years ago.
Precious.
Down to earth, more family-driven.
Family-oriented. It's like one big family.
It's a well-hidden secret.
And Target is only 2.5 miles away.
Coombsville is one of those magical places that everybody seems to want to go by, but they never knew that there's a part of Napa that was here just like it was in the old days.
Coombsville is a unique, special little pocket of Napa that most people don't know about.
I started my career in 1985. We didn't even know Coombsville existed. It was all cattle and horses.
Almost 40 years ago, no one even thought that this would be a viticultural area. You know, these hills here were just viewed as pasture land.
When I was a young person, it was more agriculture, cattle. Other than a few small plots, at that time there were no grapes right in our neighborhood.
We're right under Mount George. When Mount George blew its top a million years ago, we got all the benefits of that.
I started the winery when everybody said it was a crazy thing to do to plant Cabernet grapes in Coombsville.
And yet there was a vineyard that had been planted here early in the 1920s that was still producing right next door to us. So we knew when we found this property that it was going to be a special place for us.
The first wines that we made were so good that people started talking about them. They want to know what the hell's going on. What is this? And the rest is history.
We truly believe that the future of Napa Cabernet is Coombsville.
I was tired of going to tastings for my family and for work and having people say, where?
We need to raise the awareness that we actually exist here. And that was the beginning of the Coombsville Vintners organization.
So we came up with a map. We made a postcard of a little map of Coombsville, and it just said, here we are. And people started saying, who knew you were out there? We had no idea you were out there. So then we had to think larger.
The first criteria for an AVA is locally, regionally, or nationally known as. And so Coombsville had that in spades.
It's not just the fact that it's an AVA, it's that the wines themselves are pretty spectacular.
I knew before the AVA was in place that something was special about the wines that were grown here, the soil, and now it's justified by this AVA.
I think for the longest period of time, we all knew that it was a distinct area. It's just a matter of getting it recognized formally.
I wrote the petition, and my #1 goal wasn't necessarily to put it on the label. I wanted it on the map.
Once you've named something, it becomes more real, and I think that's really going to help the Coombsville AVA gain popularity and notoriety.
This last 12 months has exceeded my expectations in terms of the interest, and really did turn into a Coombsville who knew situation.
The people that come and talk about Coombsville say, oh, I didn't know it was here. It's really great to discover it finally.
The TTB told Tom Farella that never in the history of AVAs, AVA applications, did they have so many public responses in favor of an AVA, and not one opposed.
Many of the most recognizable wineries of the Napa Valley have known about the secret of Coombsville.
My father, he had his eye always in Coombsville when he looked at purchasing grapes for Joseph Phelps and looking at quality.
I really think it's been a real unsung hero in so many of the great wines that come from Napa Valley.
Many of the local winemakers here have been purchasing grapes from this area and sourcing them for a long time, making outstanding wine without the consumer knowing where those grapes came from.
Coombsville is the best kept secret. Now the cat's out of the bag.
Coombsville, who knew?
What brought me to Coombsville, it was the quality of the fruit, the great microclimate, the suitability of the soil.
We are in a very, very special area that the grapes, the Cabernet Sauvignon grapes especially, really like this particular area.
You're looking at volcanic sediments with alluvial, rocky soils on top.
We have rock and gravel, and the character of the grapes come out, working so hard to make themselves live.
What can I add?
We have a really long, cool growing season. And so what that means is you get this beautiful fruit and this great perfume and this brilliant, brilliant purple color that all comes from cool growing conditions.
The cool climate lets us have all the hang time that we want with the grapes.
You have to have nerves of steel because we don't ripen as quickly, but because we don't ripen quickly, it allows the flavors to develop.
Fruit out here definitely has the small berries on the Cabernet, so we get the really good concentration.
And also the tannins are extremely smooth, rich, polished, and supple.
Terroir means anything. Coombsville's got it.
If I was to search the planet for something special to make my mark, it would be Coombsville.
And I love living there. I have a wonderful view from the bay to Calistoga.
There really is a very strong sense of community here. It's very friendly. It's just lovely.
I think everything's going to be kept as quaint and as wonderful as possible for a very long time, as well as with notoriety and being part of the big Napa Valley.
You get more of this homey feeling in the Coombsville region that you don't get at the big wineries.
This is a place that you've probably never seen, even if you're a frequent visitor to Napa. This is a unique experience.
It doesn't really get much better. I mean, I love France, but there's nowhere in France that compares to this particular unique area. When I go to sleep at night, I'm a happy dude.
I think people are curious about Coombsville, so hopefully this will give them an insight into who we are and what we're about, and make them curious to come out and visit and try our wines. That's the goal.
Because that's what it's all
That's
about.
what it's all about.
Coombsville!